Today we're going to have a play with going into handstand and then exiting out down to other positions. Now that could be a croc or an elbow lever, something like this. Hopefully I'm showing something here that I achieve in a bit because I'm not warmed up yet. Now obviously if you go down you can come back up again. Now there's lots of different variations of movements that you can go to. There's QDRs, elbow levers, air babies, or just flag out and exit to the side. Now it's going to be down to your current level in terms of the skills that you can exit to. There's different levels of those as well. So obviously if you go down to an elbow lever or croc, you could go to one arm, which would be the hardest variation, or you can keep both hands on the floor, which makes it much easier. You can even have toe assist. So you don't need to be able to balance the position perfectly, but obviously if you have that, it's going to help. Also, if you have some handstand push-up strength or some really good side flexion, that's going to allow a lot more options when you exit in that direction. So I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to go with this one. You've probably seen where I'm going with it already, but let's warm up and see how we go. So warm up wise, I just need to open the legs up. I need to try and get myself happy to go over to one side, more like flaggy type movements. So one arm handstand, flag type things I'm going to work on first, and then just exit out the side, and then I'm going to add the bent arm section as well, so start to increase the depth I'm going to. So let's just see what middle splits are like to start with. A bit tight, so something that I need to get more into. I think I say that every time I do a middle split video. So I'm going to start to do this regular again. When I was doing it daily, it was so much easier just to access these positions quicker. So that way you're not messing around trying to warm up for ages. I can get all the way down to the floor and it's uncomfortable, but it takes like 10 minutes. Where if I'm visiting the position daily, it's ready to go. Like my forward fold position. Look, I've done no forward fold work this morning, but look at that. Easily enough to press handstand with no warm up, which is where I want my middle splits to be, so I can get into a good, decent split position and just be able to find it straight away in the handstand with a decent flag. Meaning then that the one arm is way more accessible all the time. Like that's not too bad, but I want it to be even wider and even deeper and available whenever I want to use it. So same thing, I'm just going to try and exit now out to the side. So I'm going to go into that handstand position, straddle, bend one leg, and now it's easier to exit down. And then I'm going to try and go back into that straddle, exit out the other side. There, that's a really good way of warming up either side, and it is easier if I bend that top leg and stick it out over to the side, because that counterbalances this leg coming down and I can come out with more control. Where if I try and stay in a straddle, so let's do exactly the same thing, but in straddle, stay there, you'll notice now it's harder to get down. It's like I have to go up and out to the side, but bending that leg makes it much easier to get down lower. So bending the leg on the way back up, and on the way down, it's much easier to get that foot to the floor. It's 39, like 40 degrees today, so hence why Rosie's not looking so active, and I've also got the car parked half in the garage, so a bit limited on space, but this one doesn't need too much. Then we're going to go to like our bottom position now, add in some bent arm work. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually, let's go bottom of the push-up first. If you're not doing this, if you can't do this well, highly recommend you work this. So externally rotate the hands, bring the arms in towards the torso, bottom of the push-up. Make sure you're very happy in this position down here. Like really good warm-up, good stretch the pecs. You can put some rotation in there as well, which will open up pecs and just basically create more space down here, more options. So we want to be very happy to go forwards, to go backwards. We can take the elbows down, back up. It's just really nice to build that strength and control in the bottom there. Next, let's warm up that crocky and QDR positions. So the crocky position, or crocodile, is I'm going to bring the elbow in, or the torso on top of the elbow. So there towards that midline. So elbow in towards belly button. There, tense the stomach, come forwards, lift the feet up. Just check how that feels. Same on the other side. Not so nice on my left. And that one, even if you're using both hands, I'd highly recommend that you focus on trying to get as much weight and control in the other side, so eventually you can lift that hand up. But like I said earlier, it's not essential for what we're going to do today. And then the other position, which is a cool one, is the QDR. So QDR means we're going to stack the hand, the elbow, the hip, and the other hip all on top of each other. So it's similar to the croc, but we go sideways. So now, see how my side of my hip is coming to my elbow, and then the other hip goes on top, and then I can get into that position, bring the feet down, and I should be able to lift the hand up. Now, another good comparison between left and right side. So that's my right side, my dominant side. Super easy. I can go QDR, I can go single arm elbow lever with no warm up. This side, watch this QDR. There, that's it. I can't put much more weight in there. Super uncomfortable, super tight. Just doesn't feel conditioned. So if I want that, I'm just going to have to spend more time there and warm it up more. Now we need to warm up the lower from a strength point of view. We've used that one arm handstand or that flag type movement that's going to be easier for you guys that are more flexible. But let's now do the strength variation using the bent arm. So what I'm going to do now is an eccentric handstand push up. So here, coming down, and then when I get to the bottom there, I'm going to bring that elbow in and take the body over to one side. So you probably couldn't see very well there. Let's do it this way. So probably should turn the hat round. I couldn't find my black cap today. So there, elbow in, over to one side, there. So it's going to that elbow lever position. But if you notice what I done there was I went straight down, standard handstand push up, then over to one side. So it's a bit clunky, it's two movements. Where I prefer the other variation, so exactly the same start position in that handstand. Now I can be straight, I can be straddle, but then I'm going to come down and look, I'm going over to one side as I come down. That one looks, I think, much better. And also helps for the way back up, because we come down like this and we go back up like that. See the speed, then the head and shoulders come down, we whip the hips and the legs up. Now let's try lowering down to croc on the left. This isn't going to be as pretty as the right. So coming down, over to one side, forwards. Yeah, definitely clunkier, and now look what's happened. I've come down, but my elbow is to the side. So that's not going to work from that elbow lever point of view. I need it here more. So I didn't rotate into the position enough, and I definitely struggled to try and lift up the hand there. This side feels comfortable to get there. This side, like, it's hard to get into the position, so it's just going to be much harder. I should really train that separately to lower down to it. So let's look at that QDR position next with the easy side. With the right side, I'm not going to try and get this on the left. I don't think I'd get it. Now, interestingly, watch what happens with the legs here. So into that position here. Whoop. Ignore that bit. Okay, so now as I come down, watch, I'm going to do this with my legs. So by doing that, what it's going to do is it's going to bring my right hip to my elbow. So down, turn, there. There's the QDR. Pull the feet down. Try and get to one hand. Ooh, not perfect, sweet spot. And I did kick the Rosie. But you see that turning of the legs positions the hip, like twists it and put it on top of the elbow better. So let's go with those three at the moment. Actually, let's put one more in to build on that first one, that flaggy one, and just go to a squat position. I say just. This is a really good exit to practice because it brings you down, allows you to come back up again. And probably is the easiest variation if you don't quite have the handstand push-up strength. So what we're going to do here is come here, bend the top leg, come down, foot touches into squat, mind Rosie's pause, back up into that position, back over to the other side into a squat, back out again. Now this is very similar to a capoeira move. And because that was much lower intensity, I went straight into doing the concentric, the back up, because it just flowed back into it, as opposed to the handstand push-up variation where I need to warm that up a little bit more. Okay, so let's look at the concentrics for the QDR and the Croc variations. We're going to turn the hat round. So technique we're going to be going for here is a seesaw to help us back up. So the seesaw can be seen and practiced very easily with the Croc hand, because with the Croc handstand I have all the weight back in my feet now. I need to take it forwards and up at the same time. So head and shoulders down, feet up. See how I like whipped myself up there? We use exactly that same technique for the Croc back up to handstand. So let's try that. So straddle position, head and shoulders forwards, rotate, feet come down, up, and then back up, push, and you should be able to get back up if you have the control. Now, I think you only really need Croc handstand strong and a strong Croc position, and you should be able to get back up. I don't think it's that much harder if you put your body in the right place, but you definitely need to have that Croc handstand understanding to get back out of that one. The other option is to raise the hand up, which makes it slightly easier because you can dip the head and shoulders lower, which scoops the legs up a bit more. It's actually very similar to the rolling handstand push-up I showed last video. And obviously you can speed it up to help you out, or you can slow it down. You'll see circus performers will use that type of technique and they'll go quite quick because they're doing routines that last time, and they're trying to make things look as graceful and as efficient as possible. So let's try that QDR one, see if I can get out, see if I can get to a better position first as well. So rotate over, feet down, hand up, out, push. That was not so pretty, but we got back up to the top. She was not impressed. Now, a cool use of any of these, what we've been through today, and other movements like it, is if you're performing, or even if you're playing around in the gym and you want to look like you know what you're doing all the time, is when you're practicing something like a one-arm handstand or a flag to one side, if you fall sideways out of the handstand, you can purposely go into one of these positions and then go back up again. The squat one is really good for that, unless you're performing on something like canes. If you're on canes or blocks or something like that, if you're on canes or blocks, it's much easier to go to elbow lever or something, and you'll see a lot of circus performers use that as an escape plan if they miss a trick. So if I do something like a one-arm handstand, so here, and then purposely, or not purposely, fall out onto that side like so, I can then go back into it, and it looks now on intentional, and you can hide when you fall. Now, obviously, there's a lot of components with that one. There's the handstand push-ups, there's the flagging, there's the one-arm handstand drills if we're going in that direction. There's the Croc itself, there's the QDR itself, there's the air baby if you go there, and so on. So you need to work out where's your strengths and weaknesses. How could you relate this to your training? It could be that you just fancy working on that Croc position or QDR separately, which I highly recommend you're working other arm balances, not just the handstand. So I think there's something there for everyone. The exits can be practiced on the wall, so I can come here, excuse me, Rosie. So into this position, so say I'm in like a straddle, bend this leg, come down to here. That could go into my squat like so, and then I can go back into it with butt touching the wall, or just pull off lightly. So lots of options there, lots of fun to be had. If you do need help with your training, would like to support the channel, I have my YouTube membership, the app, and coaching via the website. Stick any questions or comments down below. Thumbs up would be really appreciated, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks, guys.